never seen a movie have so much dialogue and say nothing all at the same time. Like, does that make sense? I have never seen a movie just be so much and nothing all at the same time. Because how do you only have 3 different stories? That's it. That's it. Baby, can't the Sims characters have way more stories than that? But Frank virtual reality can only give out 3 stories? It didn't even make sense if we're in virtual reality. Because your system is glitching like a mofo. This is a terrible system. This is a Walmart system y'all got these women in. I thought this was the incels paradise. Why is glitching? What's up? It's Nikki. Welcome or welcome back to my channel, King Nikki TV, where I give you commentary on popular movies and TV shows. In this video, I will be reviewing the new movie Don't Worry, Darling, which is a story about a 1950s housewife who starts to suspect that something is a little bit awry with her husband's company. Now, to sum it up for y'all, this is basically the white woman's Get Out. Like, this is the white woman's sunken place. Now, I enjoyed this movie. I did. I was entertained, and that is the point of a movie, is to entertain you. Now, was it flawed? Yeah, very. But I actually enjoyed this movie. I didn't think it sucked. I didn't think that anyone could watch this and just sit there bored. You are definitely entertained, and I will give props to Olivia. Y'all, what is this lady name? Olivia Wilde. What was I finna say? Olivia Munn. I have never seen her direct anything, but this was very well directed as far as imagery and visuals. She definitely has a really good eye for appealing visuals. Now, directing as far as the story, that's a whole nother situation, but we got some gorgeous visuals, some great cinematography. I love the music throughout this movie. Oh y'all, the music, I want to say that this might be my #1 favorite score in a movie all year. Don't Worry, Darling, music is hitting. I love all the fashion and all of the little details throughout the movie visually. This movie definitely has a lot of style, okay? It has that going for it. Look, Olivia got a great eye. She got a great eye, okay? And I will give her that. Props where props are due. Everything I looked at was visually appealing to my eye. Now, whether or not those visuals make a cohesive story and actually adds up and means something, baby, that is debatable, but they looked good. But I feel like the imagery in this, baby, it could have just been a music video, because we weren't really getting no story. We was just getting a collage of images. Now, I feel like she put together some very interesting concepts, and the scenes were visually appealing, like I said, but there was no real context or point to many of the scenes. For example, we get scenes where Alice is wrapping saran wrap around her head. We have a scene where Alice has the wall closing in on her. We have a scene where Alice is drowning. We have a scene where the character Margaret is can be seen in the mirror at the dance studio, and she's kind of bashing her head into the mirror. We get a scene where Alice is dreaming, and they do some type of like dance, and the people are just like I can't really reenact it. It looked fly, okay? Everything that I just like made mention of, it looked fly. But baby, what does it mean? Alice was having a lot of delusions that I read as kind of suicidal or violent. I mean, she is suffocating herself with saran wrap. She's drowning, and yes, you could say that metaphorically she felt like she was drowning in a situation, or metaphorically she felt like the walls were closing in on her. But when we get to the twist, which is that they are actually in virtual reality, it doesn't make any sense. before she ever gets to that exit, which they try to say the system glitches, baby, that mug was glitching before she ever made it out there. Because why was she seeing Margaret in that mirror at the ballet studio? Why was she seeing empty eggs that she was cracking in the kitchen? It does not make any sense if we're in virtual reality. Like, how am I dreaming in virtual reality? I don't know. It didn't really add up to me. Now, like I said, the movie is entertaining. I'm watching the movie and I'm not bored. I'm entertained. But literally an hour into the movie, I was like, baby, nothing is happening. I literally put in my notes, I'm 1 hour in and nothing has happened. What's the story? Like, that is literally in my notes. Because we just get, in my opinion, a lot of style and no substance. Baby, how many times can we see them partying? And Alice, for me, is not a very entertaining character to follow, no matter how delightful that Florence Pugh is on screen. Is that how you say her last name, Pugh? For most of the movie, we just really get nothing of substance. We get a really long, drawn out first act, and I get it, you're building suspense and mystery, but the way that they did the execution, they didn't nail it. Once we get that long first drawn out sequence, and then we get this twist at the end, once the twist hits, we have like 10-15 minutes left of the movie, and it feels extremely rushed. It feels like they tried to jam pack things into that final third act. But baby, we could have really executed this better as far as the pacing. I also take issue with how the story follows Alice only, but I'll get into that later. I just feel like as I was watching the movie, I just felt like I'm not getting anything. I have never seen a movie have so much dialogue and say nothing all at the same time. Like, does that make sense? I have never seen a movie just be so much and nothing all at the same time. Now, this for me, Don't Worry Darling, is some of the worst storytelling. Like I said, a big issue for me is the writing, and Olivia Wilde did great as a director as far as visuals and imagery, but as far as telling a cohesive story, like, what did the storyboard look like? Because it wasn't hitting. Now look, I can enjoy subtlety in a story. I can enjoy some mystery and intrigue in a story. I can enjoy you not giving us too much, but I need to feel like I'm filling up on something. I need to feel like there are breadcrumbs and I'm piecing things together and something is coming together at the end to give me a cohesive, and like just to give me like a aha moment, like oh shoot, this what that was, this what that meant. Baby, it was none of that, because nothing meant nothing. And I feel like a big issue I have with this movie is I love the idea of this movie. I love the themes presented in this movie, but I would have enjoyed if they actually explored and fleshed out the themes in this movie instead of just presenting them to us. I feel like the movie just goes nowhere. It starts to get extremely repetitive, and that falls into why I did not think it was a good idea to just follow Alice the whole movie. It gets extremely repetitive, and honestly, Alice and Jack are not the most interesting couple to follow. I'm sorry, but they're not. Florence Pugh is gorgeous, pretty woman, talented, but the character as written, Jack and Alice, baby, it was other couples that I felt like would have been a lot more dynamic and interesting and would have given us a more nuanced story, and it would not have felt so repetitive. Now, we get a scene that for me is the worst scene of the movie. Now, we have something in the movie where, okay, all the husbands work for the Victory Project. They work for Frank, played by Chris Pine. Amazing. Shining part of the movie, Chris Pine. Now, we get a sequence where we're having a party. Baby, they party, okay? They party. We get a scene where one of the husbands has this ring. It represents this promotion, right? So Alice's husband, Jack, we're all together for this big celebration. First of all, the celebration was just odd. We got some lady dancing in the champagne glass. I don't know what that was, baby. I don't know what that supposed to be about. Anyway, that wasn't a terrible scene though. The terrible scene is when Jack gets a promotion and he gets up on stage and Frank is just like, dance, witch. I'm like, This is a god awful scene. I'm just like, baby, why are we dancing? Baby, why are we dancing? It made no sense. The scene is extremely weird and it's extremely long. Olivia, baby, edit, okay? We did not need this. If you was gonna put this in there, because I can't deduce like a meaning to this, but baby, it ain't need to be so long. It did not need to be that long. It was so uncomfortable. And baby, if Jack was played by a black person, oh my god, I was like, yo, this, first of all, it felt uncomfortable already, but I was like, baby, if he was black, because Frank is just like, dance, boy. And I'm just like, what the hell? Like, it was so uncomfortable. What grown-ass man, human in general, because even if this is a woman, who wants my just stand to my dance, boy? Like, it's so weird, child. I was just like, Lord, okay. I just feel like, don't give me a promotion and then treat me like a dancing monkey. Like, it was like, but I get it. Frank doesn't just control Alice. It's not just the women who are controlled. Frank controls Jack. He controls the men. If he say jump, baby, it's how high. If he say dance, wench, you dance. When I tell you, okay, first of all, I know y'all gonna feel like I live under a rock, but I had no clue who this Harry kid was. I don't keep up with Teeny Bopper stuff. I just don't. Like, I know the name One Direction and I know the name Harry Styles, but I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. Like, I was not very familiar. I didn't know who they were. I just had heard them spoken of. But baby, look, the Harry kid was dancing like he was one of Beyonce backup dancers. Do y'all remember, okay, I'm finna go off on something else, but do y'all remember when Beyonce did that diary they used to have on MTV and one of her dancers was dancing so hard they had to call 911? Baby, that's how the Harry kid was dancing. This kid was dancing so hard. Baby, don't give me a promotion and make me dance. Baby, give me a promotion and a company car. Give me a promotion and more money. Don't give me a promotion and have me dancing so hard I'm about to F up my knees before the age of 30. Like, the ish was so insane, yo. And the crazy part, Jack looked so exhausted and Frank wouldn't even let the little nigga sit down and catch up breath. He was like, get up. Like, I was like, up, boy, up. It was so weird. Like, but just the Harry kid just dancing, like, I was just like, yeah, it was so weird. It was so uncomfortable. It was a horrible scene. I don't know what Miss Olivia was thinking, but baby, like I said, I get the point. The scene is uncomfortable and I presume it's meant to be uncomfortable, right? Jack is up there shucking and jiving. I didn't even know no white folks could shuck and jive, but baby, that's why he was shucking and jiving for Frank. Jack is controlled by Frank. I get that. It's supposed to feel uncomfortable. The crazy part in this scene, in the story of this scene, is that Jack's so busy shucking and jiving that he don't even notice his wife is gone. Alice is no longer sitting there at the table. She has gone off having a mental breakdown because before Jack gets up to go on stage for his promotion, Alice is telling him, we need to leave. We're not supposed to be here. He pretty much is ignoring her. He goes on stage for his promotion. Alice exits and she goes behind the scenes, behind, you know, somewhere in a room with another character, Bunny, played by Olivia Wilde. And I get that the story of this scene is supposed to convey how controlled Jack is by Frank, how wrapped up in Frank Jack is that he does not even notice his wife is having a breakdown and has exited and is no longer sitting at the seat. I get that, but baby, edit this down. Edit Olivia. We ain't need all that. Now, as far as the Harry kid, good actor, no. Have you ever seen a movie where the acting is so bad it's distracting? That was not this. He's way too dull and lifeless to be distracting, honestly, and I'm sorry. It irks me because I feel like this movie could have been a lot more dynamic with a better actor as Jack, and it irks me because I feel like the Harry kid gonna be okay. There is another actor we could have given a shot to. There's another actor who could have used this opportunity that actually has the talent to pull this shit off. I'm sorry, but that bugs me. And maybe I'm being dramatic, but that really irks me. I just feel like I just have such a respect for the craft of acting. There's another actor who do this ish. You know what I mean? Who could have really pulled this off. I don't want to ever see the Harry kid in another movie. I'm sorry, I don't. He don't have the talent for it, and he gonna be okay. If he's never in a movie, baby gonna be okay. Certain actors are just exciting to watch on screen. He's not. He is so boring and dead and lifeless. He couldn't pull it off. When he's in scenes, okay, you know how you have scenes where one actor is talking and the other actor is silent? That silent actor who may not have any lines in that scene, they are still giving you so much silently. There is a scene where Jack and Alice are having a conversation and Jack is quiet. Y'all, the Harry kid looks so deadpan. He was not giving anything in that scene with Florence. There's also a scene where Florence is talking and Frank is quiet. We're at a dinner table. Baby, everything Chris Pine was giving you in that scene without even saying a motherfucking word, him and Florence in those scenes together were electrifying. I would say that was electrifying. Like, they can act, okay? The scenes with Harry, no, where he was supposed to be like quiet but still emitting something. Baby, the promotion scene where the Harry kid is standing on stage and Frank is giving his speech, giving him his promotion, the way the Harry kid expression was looking, I was like, baby, do you even want them to get promotion? Because the way his face is, he doesn't give you anything. It's frustrating. And I heard that Shia LaBeouf was supposed to play this role, and I get it. Personal life, I get it. But baby, give me Shia LaBeouf in this role. Talent-wise, give me Shia LaBeouf. I just feel like I did not believe the chemistry between Flo and Harry. I believed it on her side, but together as a couple in scenes together, it wasn't reading off the screen for me. There's a scene, I think it's the promotion scene, where the guys are like, whose world is this? Ours. Baby, I ain't believe the Harry kid. I ain't believe it. I ain't believe him. I'm sorry, but I didn't. It's a scene where he yells the F word in the car. I ain't believe it. I'm sorry, I ain't believe it. Like I said, is it terrible, horrible, gutter trash acting? No. But is it as powerful and dynamic and convincing as I needed Jack to be? No, not in the slightest. I want them to cast an actor with more grit and more darkness. Someone that can give me charming husband but sinister. Because look at what Jack did. You're holding this woman captive. She's tied to a bed. That's sinister-ish. I didn't get that darkness. I didn't get that grit that I needed to get from the Harry kid. Like, yeah, and then I feel like he's too pretty. This Harry kid is pretty. And yeah, they tried to like dirty him up, ugly him up for the real world. But I need somebody who is not traditionally attractive. Because even cleaned up in the virtual reality world, Shia LaBeouf is not a traditionally attractive person. We need that grit. You know what I mean? We need someone that's not so pretty. I don't know. Do y'all get what I'm saying? Something else that was weird with the Jack character. Why baby couldn't just be British? Like, why couldn't he just be British? What impact would that have had on the story? I don't get it. What part of the plot is that messing up? We have a scene where when it's all revealed that this is virtual reality and Jack is going into this, they say candidate whatever chooses British nationality. Baby, why? Y'all, okay, I said that the Harry kid acting not distracting, that American accent is. That American accent is terrible, baby. Why could he not just be British? And I get it, okay? I can't do accents. The only accent I could do is country black folk, okay? But baby, know your strengths. And you cannot do the accent. And it's okay that you can't do the accent. Just make the fucking character British. And that scene also gets weird because, so we could choose a nationality? Can we choose a race? Can we choose a gender? It starts to trail into that territory for me. Why am I choosing a different nationality? Now, at the top of the movie, I'm enjoying it, and I'm caught up in the intrigue and mystery because I'm sitting there wondering, what don't we know about this place? What do we know about this place? What is this place? What type of world are they in exactly? We get a new couple that's introduced, and all I could think was, where did this couple come from? I knew from the very beginning of the movie that we were not actually in the 50s, right? And the thing for me, for why I knew that, is because there's nothing around us but desert. It's like we have this metropolis, this city, this town, this neighborhood in the middle of nowhere. And also because the place just feels unnerving, right? Now I did see people speaking of how they knew it wasn't the 50s because of the hairstyles, but I don't know how white women wore their hair in the 50s. That didn't give nothing away to me. I thought the hair just looked good. I didn't think it was not of the 50s, but we have this housewife with this seemingly perfect life and a seemingly perfect husband. We have a shot where all the women are saying goodbye to the husbands in the driveway at the same time. They're all pulling off at the same time. Great shot, very well directed, but it does not feel like a real life place to me. Also, we have no elderly people. We have no gay people. Something about this place, to me, you just know it's not real. I would have liked for them to explore the sexism, the homophobia, the racism, the anti-blackness of the 50s. And also, with that, why would you choose the 50s as your seemingly perfect computer world? Also, can we explore why would black folk participate in this? Black in the 50s? I was like, hold on now, baby, what? Can we pick a different time? I don't know. I just think like that. If I see a company, right, and you know how it'll say established in 1920, I'd be like, hold on now, baby, that wasn't a great time for me. I just feel like you have a time period of such gender and racial inequality, and we decide to create a very whitewashed version of perfection in America in this virtual reality world. Can we explore why? Can we explore why this is what Frank chose for his perfect world? Why the participants chose to be a part of this? Why black folk would want to be a part of this? We get no real exploration of that. And I feel like that would have been exciting. That's why I say it was more exciting characters to follow. Can we follow more of Frank? Can we follow Margaret and her husband? Can we follow the new couple and how they even discover this place and how they get in this place? Why are the men choosing this? Now, we have a scene in the kitchen with Florence and Chris Pine that was so freaking good. And you damn airplane going by. Come on, airplane, go. Don't airplanes fly fast? They flying slow. We get a scene in the kitchen at Alice's house. It's a scene between Florence and Chris Pine. So good. Such a good scene. This is what I mean. I needed Florence to have a better Jack to feed off of and play off of in her scenes. This scene with Jack, not Jack, child. This scene with Frank and Alice was so entertaining. It was so good. But at the same time, it ain't made no sense to me in the context of the story. In the context of the story. I feel like I said that weird. Now, Frank tells Alice, because this is after the promotion, after Alice has her breakdown where she tries to tell Bunny that, you know, something is going on, something is wrong, and Bunny doesn't believe her. She tells her she's crazy. Frank pretty much relays that conversation. Somehow, he knows that conversation. Right? Even though he was on stage and nowhere near them. And he proceeds to tell her, I've been waiting for someone like you to challenge me. Huh? Baby, what kind of challenge was Alice? Baby, when I tell you, I'm sorry, but Alice ain't really the brightest bulb. Like, what has Alice done at all in this movie to challenge Frank in any way? Am I confused on what the word challenge means and what it means to challenge a person? That threw me. Margaret literally stood up in front of everybody and said, something ain't right. We ain't supposed to be here. And then all of a sudden, Alice is like, Margaret said we're not supposed to be here. Maybe we're not supposed to be here. Baby, how is she challenging Frank? Now, I can see if Margaret was the one challenging him. I don't know. And also, Frank just seemed to have this, I don't know if it's an obsession, but he kept having his eye on Alice, even before she's hip to anything. Why? I didn't understand that. Am I just not smart enough? Did it just go over my head? I didn't get it. We have the character of Margaret, who is like, we shouldn't just all be kissing Frank's pale ass. And I know it's pale. And everyone is, yo, we shouldn't be here. Something's not right. And everyone is just like, she's insane. She's losing her mind. Our protagonist, Alice, I don't know. Like, she ain't doing anything. In my opinion, did I not read it right? Did I not interpret stuff right? The dinner scene after the kitchen scene, another amazing scene. The way that Florence plays off of everyone in the scene and her and Frank play off of each other, so good. Like I said, Chris Pine, even silent in the scene, is emitting and giving you so much fucking silent acting. It's so good. Now, great scene, but again, in the context of the story, it ain't made no sense. Because we were just in the kitchen, and Frank tells her how her best friend Bunny ain't believe her, but then again, Alice ain't believe Margaret, who was her friend. So why would anyone believe her? Why is that the catalyst and the green light for me to go crazy at this dinner scene and just be like, it's a whole, no one will believe you. Where are you from? How did you meet? Baby, what is this solving? What are you doing? What is there to gain by doing this? You're showing up with nothing. He literally just said your own best friend ain't believe you. Why is that the green light to then do this? And this is why I say, how is she challenging him? I'm sorry, baby, Alice ain't the smartest. I'm sorry, she not. Like, what problems is she solving? She ain't even connect the dots on her own. Margaret did that. And that's why I'm so pissed I feel like we should have opened the movie following Margaret and her husband. We can follow different characters, right? It doesn't have to only be Alice. Because, baby, Alice ain't really doing nothing. It made no sense. You go from that scene in the kitchen to this. How is that scene in the kitchen leading my character motivation to this? It's not smart. I need to go gather evidence. I need to really get something concrete because, like he said, my own best friend ain't even believe me. You still ain't got shit. So why is the folks at the dinner table gonna believe you? And it also makes sense to me because she goes into how everybody pretty much has met the same way, are from the same place. It's like only 3 different stories they keep recycling. But baby, Alice, didn't you been know where everybody was from? Didn't you been know how everybody met? Why was that never odd to you until now that we're sitting at the table? Like, why was that never anything to question or call out until now that we're sitting at the table? I don't know. It didn't make any sense to me. And also, I hate that the story went to virtual reality. I feel like it was so many more exciting, logical places for us to go. Virtual reality don't make no sense. Because how do you only have 3 different stories? That's it? That's it? Baby, can't the Sims characters have way more stories than that? But Frank virtual reality can only give out 3 stories? I don't understand. It don't make no sense. I don't know. I just feel like this confrontation was really idiotic and stupid and not smart. Obviously impulsive because she goes from that breakdown at the promotion to now just acting like a regular old housewife, throwing this party, which Frank makes mention of, in there cooking dinner. And after that confrontation, she goes to that dinner scene. You met on the train and he dropped the ticket and you picked it up, whatever the hell, y'all. It's just an idiotic move. An obviously impulsive move with no thought because it was nonsensical. It didn't make any sense. Now, once the dinner erupts and everyone leaves, which also wouldn't make no sense, in that dinner, Frank says, I trusted you in my bed. She's strapped down at home. She ain't in your bed, bruh. Like, I don't understand. How does that make any sense? When was she in his bed? Unless, because remember, in the real world, Alice was the breadwinner. Jack ain't had no job. So when Jack discovers this, how he had money to get up in this game unless he bartered his wife? Like, hey, put my wife in your bed and let us get up in this game. Because when was Alice in Frank's bed? Like I said, am I not smart enough? Because that didn't make no sense. And also, Frank's wife started caping for him in this scene. I'm like, hold on now, baby, in what bed? If my husband literally sits in front of me and says, I trusted you in my bed, hold on, baby, when? It also didn't make any sense with Frank's wife. Why did the wife acknowledge that? And why did he even say that? When was this girl who's in virtual reality, just her mind is in here, when was she in your bed? I don't know. That didn't make any sense to me. But y'all, am I just not smart? Did I just not get it? Now, the party obviously just busts up. Everyone leaves. And Alice goes to tell Jack they need to get out of here. They need to leave. He's like, okay. And we get in the car. He's not going anywhere. Men show up in red suits to take her away. Baby, why these men in red? Oh, no. Whatever. That's how they wrote the program, I guess. Because we in virtual reality, right? Now, what I didn't think made sense with this was she literally is screaming bloody murder as they take her away. The neighbors don't find this odd. Because remember, this is supposed to be the real world. Like, we think this is life. When in life do I have my neighbor screaming bloody murder getting dragged off by men in red suits? I thought that was very odd. Now, they end up like reprogramming Alice, right? And she comes back. And all I'm thinking is, why didn't we reprogram Margaret? Like, what happened with that? I really wish we would have followed Margaret. Because they reprogrammed Alice. She comes back and she's just doting housewife again. Why didn't we do that with Margaret? I don't understand. But anyway, whatever. Something else that don't make sense with us having this be virtual reality. They have a doctor in the town that is trying to give them pills. Why are you giving me pills in a virtual reality? I don't understand. I mean, is it supposed to just have like a placebo effect? Like, I take pills and I think they're doing something, so then I just, you know, placebo effect? I don't know. It ain't make no sense. They have her strapped down in real life, already drugging her up and stuff, right? So why are we giving her drugs? And whatever, child. Whatever. Now, we have something throughout this movie. We have this thread throughout the movie where Alice keeps humming this song that she does not know. She can't place the song, right? Now, she comes back for being reprogrammed. We're all happy again. We're in the house. And Jack goes to try to put a record on. And I immediately start to think, I bet you he's finna play the song that she's been humming and it's finna click something. Instead of playing the song, he starts singing the song. I called it. I knew it. But I thought he was finna put the record on. But he starts to sing this song, which is the song that she has been humming. And it clicks something in her. And we get this whole reveal. And I was so disappointed. All I could think was, so this a video game? Because I did not call video game. I didn't. Maybe some folk did. I did not call video game. Like I said, knew it wasn't the 50s. Knew something was suspect. But my mind was going so many other places. And what does not make sense, I feel like it was more exciting places to go than virtual reality. And I feel like going for virtual reality makes a lot of stuff very illogical. We are supposed to buy that Alice ain't got no friends, no family, no work colleague, nobody looking for her. She is a surgeon. She a young ass surgeon, a prodigy or something. She young as hell to be a surgeon. But nobody looking for her. And then what don't make sense to me is we're holding her down in an apartment. For real? You mean to tell me not a plumber, not a landlord, not a Jehovah's Witness, not a burglar, nobody comes to this apartment ever for years on years on years? We not somewhere all secluded in a house somewhere? Frank, who y'all think is so amazing, ain't at least got all the women up in a facility? I thought it would reveal that all the women laying in bed next to each other in a big facility. It does not make any sense. Now, am I saying ever in the history of the world no one has ever held someone captive in an apartment? I'm sure they have. Maybe, child. He was crazy. But it's too many margins of error for this to be this big thing that we're doing, and we're following Frank, and he's so extraordinary. We got this whole this life we've created. There's too many margins for error for me to just be holding this lady up in my apartment. What if the building floods? What if another unit catches on fire? It's just too many ways that something can go wrong with the way they are doing this setup. It did not make any sense. You mean to tell me the Census Bureau ain't come to the door? Like, nobody is coming to the door. When I hated living in an apartment. Because all the times they wanted the motherfucking come in the apartment to check the goddamn, I don't know, fire extinguisher. Or they wanted to upgrade the fixtures. I was like, niggas, y'all don't stop coming in my motherfucking apartment. Unless, what, they not in an apartment, they in a condo and he own it, but still. You mean to tell me that we have this pretty, blonde, white woman, young-ass prodigy surgeon goes missing for years and it don't make not a ripple in the tide? Baby, that ain't plausible. That's why I hate that we went to virtual reality. Like, give me something else that would have made the stuff that transpired a lot more plausible. It just did not make any sense. I don't know. Y'all. And then I was disappointed when they, like I said, I wasn't thinking virtual reality. They dropped that we just in the damn video game. And all I could think was, so the Victory Project ain't real? So these niggas ain't real on the mission? Because they just kept talking about how the man being part of something so important. That was Jack's whole thing. That's another plot. Another reason why when they dropped the video game thing, I was annoyed because I was like, hold on now, so the Victory Project not real? These niggas ain't really on a mission? Because that was Jack's whole thing, being a part of something important or whatever the hell. The men are on this mission. So none of that meant anything? Like, there is no project? There is no mission? He's just going to unplug it from the game. So you mean to tell me, baby, when you leave for work, your suitcase empty? Because you ain't really going to the little headquarters, like you unplugging. I don't know. That annoyed me. And Alice was the breadwinner. Jack didn't have a job. But somehow now he can work and sustain the real life-ish. Because you still got to pay rent and pay taxes and all this other stuff. And take care of Alice, who, that don't make sense that he could do that. Because you would need to be doing a catheter. You would need to be doing an IV. It's all kind of stuff that people have to do at a hospital when somebody's in a coma. And regular folk can't just do that. If you told me right now to go insert a catheter in, somebody wouldn't know what the fuck I was doing. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But he is able to pay for their real life, and he's able to pay to live in this virtual reality world. And I'm not clear on whether he works for Frank or not. I feel like they tell us in the movie that the men work for Frank, and maybe that's how, kind of like if you work at McDonald's, you get a free meal. But then again, it doesn't make sense. He clocks out for 8 hours, right? Because she thinks he's at work. So how in 8 hours are you working a full job and taking care of Alice? You would have to bathe her, feed her, change all kind of stuff, do stuff with their muscles, because you're not supposed to just lay there and not moving your muscles. Like, the nurses in the hospitals come in and like have to do all that stuff. But he got time to do all that and pay taxes and renew your tag and your registration and all the stuff you got to do in real life. Whatever. It just did not make any sense that the women would not all be together in a big facility getting taken care of. Why the fuck are the men doing it? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. He gotta clean the apartment, maintain the apartment in real life, and do all that in 8 hours and work. Like, what is you working part-time, bro? But then how was that paid? I don't know. It don't make no sense. 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 I feel like this video game angle was the least fun and least exciting and least logical place for them to take the story. I don't like where the story goes with that. I knew we were not in the 50s. I knew something was up. But I was thinking we was in some kind of like post-apocalyptic world, right? Because I'm thinking, because remember, everything kept shaking, right? I'm thinking the men going off to work is the men going off to protect this place. I felt like we were just surrounded by desert, surrounded by nothing. I thought we were in like a post-apocalyptic world. It was people frantic to get in what we've built here. The men were going off daily fighting to protect this place. I thought it was a 10 Cloverfield Lane type of thing where you're being held captive by somebody, but then you break free and discover that the outside world is a lot more dangerous. I thought Alice would break free, go beyond where they're allowed to go, but discover that the world, has ended and it's dangers out there. I just thought it was a lot more exciting places to go than a video game. Also, maybe write it where Jack and Alice aren't even married. He maybe had a crush on her. Or you know how people stalk folks and build up a relationship in your mind? And he puts her in virtual reality? That could have been a place to go, because when Jack is entering into this whole thing, he gets asked, did you have a relationship with Alice prior? When he was signing up. Insinuating that you don't necessarily have to have a relationship. Because they're asking, did you? So some of these husbands may not even be in real life husbands to these women. Why did we see a plane crash? And now I ain't hip to technology and all this stuff, but if I'm a game programmer or whatever, don't I program everything in there? Like if it's a bird flying across the street, don't that mean that I programmed that in my game? So what was this plane crash? That made absolutely no sense. And also, Alice getting off that trolley to go to that plane crash wasn't logical to me, because she was about half dead and dehydrated walking out there. Who was you finna help? If a plane did crash, what was you finna do? You ain't had no water to give nobody or nothing. But it just didn't make any sense that once we found out virtual reality, I was like, well, what did all this, why did she see Margaret bash her head into the window? Why did she see the wall closing in? Why was she having all these hallucinations and dreams and all this empty, like, baby, you ain't writing a very efficient program if all that ish was glitching before she ever found that exit. When she's sitting by the pool with the girls and they gossiping and she started dazing off having some hallucination. It did not make any sense that it's virtual reality and that's happening. Baby, who's dreaming? You can dream in virtual reality? I ain't no, video game virtual reality person, but maybe you could dream in there? I don't know. Maybe I'm just smart enough. Maybe I'm just not smart enough to get it. But it ain't make no sense to me. Frank controls this world. I remember seeing a movie where it was like a video game, but they couldn't get out. You had to like find the exit. You had to like do these challenges. How come Frank exit is just there? No guards. Not hidden. You could just go there. And no one going there is predicated on you just putting fear in the women saying, don't go out there. Like, that's it. That's it. That's the only security that the women that gonna go to the exit is that you say women and kids can't go out there. It does not make any sense. I don't know. Then the exit was tripping me out because the black lady, Margaret, and her son walked to the exit. When Alice gets off the trolley, she walks, and it does seem like a long walk. Like I said, baby look dehydrated. But then when she has the car chase at the end, going to the exit, baby, that car chase was long. Cars move faster than niggas walk. It took long as hell to get to that exit with that car chase. Baby, how far is the exit? Can we walk there or not? Why did Margaret kill herself? Did Margaret know we were in a video game, or did she just know something was not right? The exit is just a building on a mountain. And all you don't even have to walk in the building. You just gotta put your hand up on the window. What kind of program is this that Frank done made? And then they try to say the system glitched. This ain't make sense to me. Now, when Alice first discovers this exit, she puts her hand on the glass, and then she just wakes up in bed, in virtual reality, and Jackie's in the kitchen cooking. But at the end of the movie, when she does the exact same thing and puts her hand on the window, we hear her gasp waking up in real life, presumably. Screen, fades to black. We just hear her gasp. So, how come the first time she put her hand on the glass, she did not gasp awake in real life? Or did she? And y'all just cut a damn scene out. It just didn't make any sense to me. And also, this is supposed to be real life for these women, right? How long have we been in this victory place? Now, we do hear them say Victory Project Day 987, but I'm wondering how long has the time been for the women in this real life place? Do we age? Baby, how long this lady done been pregnant? Because it just doesn't make any sense that this is real life to these women. Like, nothing is awry to anyone. And the lady who stays pregnant, what is up with that? Does her husband have some kind of pregnancy fetish? Like, what is that? Why is she always pregnant? It's just didn't make sense to me that there was so much that these women do not question, that they just accept. Multiple people meeting the same way, being from the same place. No one questions any of this. And we did have one of the women questioning what the men do, but why aren't we questioning the reality of our situation? It doesn't make any sense. Only women and children cannot go out to the desert or to Victory headquarters because it's dangerous. Because you'll put everyone at risk. Dangerous? What's the danger? Risk from what? Who, what, when, where, why, how? It just doesn't make sense that these women are made to just accept stuff with no real rhyme, reason, or logic. And maybe you could say because they're programmed, because they're being doped up and stuff in real life, they're doing things to them. But I'm not understanding. It's not logical to me that we're just accepting everything without wondering why. What's the danger? What's out there? What's the risk? Why does... Lady, never given birth. It just doesn't make any sense. And Jack tells Alice we should have a baby. How? In virtual reality. How are we having a baby in the virtual reality world? How does that work? It just doesn't make any sense. Now, at the end, Alice rushing towards the exit in the car. Frank is home, seemingly not bothered or caring, because he just looked calm, cool, collect. That you about to get to the exit. And his wife kills him. And it's like, you stupid man. What? Huh? Where'd that come from? That felt so abrupt and so out of nowhere. It didn't make any sense. So I guess Frank's wife is in on the fact that this is virtual reality. And now she's taking it over. Why? She been doing nothing but caping for him the whole movie. Why all of a sudden does she kill him? I don't understand. Am I just not smart enough? The downfall of this movie is the writing. There is no real flow, cohesiveness, logic, too many plot holes. And give me symbolism, but give me symbolism that means something, that tells something of the story. Don't just give me random shots of empty eggs and just all the ish that it was giving us that in the end didn't mean nothing. It didn't even make sense if we're in virtual reality. Because your system is glitching like a mofo. This is a terrible system. This is a Walmart system y'all got these women in. Just don't make no sense. I feel like this movie tries to give the illusion that it's clever, but it's not. My other issue is I needed a lot more grit and intensity with this story. You literal have men holding women hostage, captive. Women who might not even be known to these men. It didn't go as dark as it needed to go. We didn't get these characters fleshed out like they needed to be. We get to the end. Alice, here's that song that she's been humming. It's a song that Jack sings to her in real life as she's strapped down in a motherfucking bed. For some reason, his plan of action is to squeeze her to death. I didn't understand that. What if he's just hugging her? But anyway, Alice kills him. Now, after Alice kills Jack, Bunny comes into their house and says how she knows this is virtual reality. She chooses to be here. She's in on this. She's like, Alice, go run. They can kill you in real life. Again, where's the character motivation? This is so abrupt. It's so out of nowhere. How come you didn't confess this to Margaret? You just said she was crazy. How come when Alice first comes to you, you tell her she's crazy? You act like you don't know nothing. But all of a sudden, you confess everything now. Why? Why did she help Alice get out? Why didn't you help Margaret get out? I just don't understand. It makes absolutely no sense. Won't her getting out jeopardize what you have here? Because Bunny wants to be here. I don't get it. Am I just not smart? Yo, what am I missing? I enjoy where the story goes with the husband, with Jack. I feel like there is a darkness, a sinisterness that the Harry kid didn't pull off, but I enjoy where the story goes with his character as far as I know what's best for you, even if I have to force it on you. Even if I have to force it against your will, I know what's best. You're happy here. And I'm choosing that for you. I really wish we could have explored that. Also, what's best for her, Alice, conveniently, is exactly what Jack wants. Her attitude, her career, or lack thereof, her sex drive. We get a scene where Alice is going to look for Jack. We're at this party. Because, they party like college kids. That's all they do is party. She finds Jack. They start to be intimate. Frank comes in, and he's staring at her. And the way I read her in this scene, I'm like, is the system glitching? Does she want to stop, but is incapable of doing that? In the real life scene, she's working a 36-hour day. It ain't no 36 hours in a day. It was a long ass day, y'all. She was working a long day. Like what, 36 hours? I don't know why I said that. She was working a long ass day. She was tired. She comes home. He wants to have sex. She doesn't. She's uninterested. She's tired. Seemingly, this is routine. So he conveniently is giving a speech of, you're happy here. This is best for you. But it's conveniently what is best for him. Man, we could explore that. Because people have the attitude in real life. Like, I'm going to tell you what's best for you and force it on you even if you don't want it. Because I know best for you. And what's best for you is conveniently going to be good for me. We could have explored that. We could have fleshed this character out. Speaking of the sex scenes, they're weird. When we go to the twist of virtual reality and Alice been tied down in the motherfucking bed in real life. In the scene I was just speaking of when Frank walks in, when she first comes in, Jack is trying to initiate sex. Alice says no. She does not say yes. She just relents and gives in. Unless you get a full body yes, it's not consent. It's not giving in, relenting. That's not consent. Also, Alice, when we get to the twist, all those sex scenes, she's incapable of consenting. She's tied down in the bed. It's weird. It's weird. Also, when we get to that is virtual reality, why not present this choice to your wife? Why not let her choose to be in the game? Also, Bunny tells us she's in the game for her kids. Her kids died in real life. I deduced they died because she says, here I did not lose them. So she can have her kids in the game as full body, people. So why can't we give the women a choice? And if they don't want to be here, we can make full body women in the game. She was able to get her kids in the game. So in real life, Jack and Alice could have divorced and he could have went in the game and had Alice. A simulated Alice. Because baby, me and virtual reality John Boyega, we gonna live happy. It don't have to be the real him. Because in the game it is real. It's real to us in the game. Because she has her kids are there. So he could have had simulation Alice there. And she could have been in real life being a young prodigy surgeon. Now, the movie you can't help but think of when it comes to Don't Worry Darling is Stepford Wives. And it makes sense in Stepford Wives. The women aren't in on this. We have this, what was it? The men's association, the men's club. It does not make sense in Don't Worry Darling that Bunny is in on everything. Why is she the only woman in on this? What makes her special? It would make a lot more sense if Bunny was Frank's wife. What makes Bunny different or special from the other women? Why does she get to know what's going on and they do not? Also, Bunny doesn't care that her friends are enslaved. She was gossiping about Margaret losing her mind when you know the truth. It made no sense. She showed no remorse for Margaret at all. When they're having this little session talking about Margaret, and Alice is showing like remorse. She's feeling bad. And says she's just having a hard time. And Bunny is like, well, whose fault is that? They're talking about how the girl, Margaret, walked out with her son, how she's lost her son. And she's just ragging on the girl. And Alice is like, well, she was our friend. And Margaret says, yeah, when she, before she lost her mind. Way harsh, Ty. Like, if you know the truth, why were you not being empathetic like Alice was? Why were you going so hard against Margaret? I just don't get it. Bunny helps Alice get out. Is she going to face any type of repercussion for helping? A shining light for me was Chris Pine. I loved the introduction of Frank to the audience. Very well shot. Great performance. Very well directed. I just love that scene. Chris Pine need to play a cult leader. Because baby, he could do it. I would have loved to have gotten more of Chris Pine's character. What exactly is this ring in this promotion? Why Jack? Because he said something in the speech about how, I can't remember exactly, but someone as new or as young as Jack wouldn't normally get this promotion. It was very special that he got this. Why did he get it? What exactly is it that he got? What is this ring and this promotion exactly? Why was he so intrigued by Alice from the jump? He says, I was expecting more from you. Why? What predicated that? Why were you expecting anything from her? I love how Chris Pine plays his character. He's dark, it's dangerous, but it's also charming and charismatic. But they don't give him enough to play with. He is great as an actor. He does great with his dialogue, but when you look at it, he never really says much of any substance. Like I said, the movie is just a ton of style and flair, but it's not really anything that sticks to you. I just really wish they gave Chris Pine more room to play. Like I said, I feel like it hurt the story to only follow Alice the whole time. We should have gotten things from the men's point of view. Why do they want to be here? Why did they choose this? Why did we choose the 50s? What are our character motivations? I wish we could have followed Margaret and her husband. Also, with the Frank character, we have this party at his house. The new couple that I mentioned that got introduced. The guy innocently says, I haven't really spoken to Frank. And the other husband goes, Frank doesn't have to talk to you. Like, dang, why y'all going so hard? He's like, you have no idea how extraordinary Frank is. His motherfucking system is glitching like a bitch. So how extraordinary can he be? But the whole, you're lucky to even be at his house. Like, why are the husbands going so hard for Frank? I feel like we really get no context for this. What is Frank doing that's so extraordinary? Helping y'all kidnap women? I don't understand. Am I just not smart? We have a very romanticized version of the 50s. And I would have loved to explore things from Frank's point of view, so that we could really delve into what they are just, it's like they're kind of just presenting something, but we're not really fleshing these ideas out. Now, another issue I have with the movie is Margaret's character, played by Kiki Layne. Margaret essentially is pivotal to the plot, right? But we really don't get much of anything of her and her husband. Baby, she might got like 10 minutes worth of screen time in the whole movie. I'm just like guesstimating the time, but it ain't much. I would have loved to get part of the story where we're following Margaret and her husband. We get no real, understanding of her and her husband's dynamic, her situation. We're only told that she was friends with Bunny and Alice, but it's never depicted for the audience. We needed to see so much more of this couple. It would have been so interesting to open the movie in some order. I'm not sure what sequence, but following things from Frank's point of view. Maybe even showing us this new couple coming in. How did Frank go about all of that? Following things from Margaret and her husband's point of view. Margaret is pivotal, but she ends up being used as just a lazy plot device for Alice's story. And honestly comes off as like a magical Negro trope for Alice. She has to stand up and say something's wrong. And suddenly Alice is, Margaret says something's wrong. But we should have really gotten a full story of Margaret. I would have even loved for us to follow Margaret. We wanted to keep showing the everyday life over and over again with Alice. We could have got Margaret's everyday life. And how she starts to get a breakdown and starts to come to the conclusion that something isn't right. Why did she walk out in the middle of the desert? I would have loved to get a more nuanced look at the husbands, because Jack is on this moral high ground, perspective of this is best for you. What was Margaret's husband's motivation? I'm not really clear on the takeaway of this movie. Jack just dies. He learns no lesson. He gets no understanding of why this was wrong. None of the women are freed because the movie fades to black. And I'm going to say that we still living in the virtual reality world. And Alice just tied to them up in bed and finna die like that guy in the movie 7 who was tied to the bed with the little essence and stuff. Because how did she get out? Her hands are literally strapped in. But the movie, what's the takeaway? None of the women are freed. None of the men learn anything. Nothing changes. Nothing, like, Alice is out, but out to where? Being tied in the bed? My other issue, none of the women really have any real identity. Not even Alice. Bunny is the only woman who smokes. She's the only woman, or at least the woman in this friend group, who does not go to that ballet class. She's the only woman who knows that things ain't on the up and up and we're in virtual reality. Bunny is the only woman seemingly with any real identity. But it's really not even really presented to the audience. We're suddenly given a pivotal part of her identity abruptly and quickly at the end. None of the other men learn any lessons of consent. Seemingly, Victory is going on. Frank's wife is just going to continue things, I presume. Look, give me an ending where the incels win and have their way and the women are enslaved. And the audience walks away with this sense of dread, fear, empathy. Or give me the women rise up and we destroy Victory and all women are all free and the incels learn our man just motherfucking died like Jack did. But they get their comeuppance. But the film doesn't give me anything. And when Stepford Wives ends, sorry, I guess spoilers if you've never seen the 1970s Stepford Wives, but the men win. That's horror. And when this movie ends, I'm not left with anything. And that's a negative for this movie because it's presented in a way where we're supposed to be left with something. This movie is supposed to be giving us something. It's not presented as just a mindless, brainless, enjoyable few hours of a movie. It's not presented as like a popcorn flick. But I walk away from this movie and I don't really feel much. It looked nice. That's what all I feel. We have a picture of Chris Pine at the dance studio. Very cult-like. Frank owns the company that all the men work at. He's on the radio. But why do you have a radio show? Because if this is real life for these women, who in real life is listening to their husband's boss's radio show all day? I don't understand. We have themes of control, power dynamics. There's just so many ideas that's presented in the movie but not really fleshed out and explored. The movie never goes deep. And that's the issue because it's like the movie is presented as those type of movies that's supposed to go there, but we never go there. Like, if you're gonna do it, then do it. If you're gonna go there, then go, but we don't. Why are all the women in the ballet class, speaking of? What's the symbolism of that? Is that over my head? Do grown women take ballet classes that ain't, already ballet dancers? I know the little girls be taking them. I got a homegirl who do ballet right now in her 30s, but she has been dancing ballet her whole life. Am I missing something? Am I not hip to something? The instructor, who is Frank's wife, tells the women, remember ladies, there's beauty in control, grace and symmetry. Is that supposed to mean something and I'm just not smart? Like, I get it. It's the themes of control, but I don't understand. Jack's issue is, I guess, his fragile ego, the fact that Alice is the breadwinner. She comes home. He doesn't have a job. She's been working all day. He complains about her not answering the text and he hasn't had dinner. He wants to have sex with her. She doesn't. We could have explored the themes of how modern women are expected to contribute financially, be out in the workforce, and simultaneously still do all the housework. Play both roles. How men want the benefits of patriarchy without the work. Like, women have to do simultaneous duties. Like, baby, you couldn't just get your dinner up. She had to answer the text and do all this ish. You couldn't. She was working all day. And his answer is to just take out her career, leave her home all day, to just pretty much wait on him hand and foot, wait for him to get home, having his dinner ready when he get home, screwing him, whatever he want to do that. Her personality is what the personality he gave her. Like, we could have really delved into this ish. How domestic labor is undervalued. She got to go to work and come home and do this ish in the, the real world. It just frustrates me because I love what this movie could have been. I love what I feel they were going for. I love the aesthetics of the movie. I love the concept of this movie. I love the idea so much. And they just missed the mark. Even with Chris Pine's wife, that strange, weird, out of nowhere scene at the end when she kills him and says she's taking over now. We could have explored, because I'm reading it as she's in on it. She knows these women are being enslaved here. And now, you stupid man, like, I don't know, she's taking over. We could have explored how people who are a part of marginalized groups will work for the systems that keep that group oppressed. The group you're a part of. Like, we could have really went there. But no, all we get is, you stupid man. We needed less time spent on that repetitive every day and the parties. The movie opens with a party. We get it. They party. The build up and the suspense they tried to build, great. But we needed to pace this a lot differently. We needed more time spent on Margaret and her breakdown and her discovery. I would have loved to see the Margaret character as the lead, and we follow her and what leads her through the desert. And we could see it kind of spread to Alice like a virus. And then Margaret's story doesn't end well. It ends tragically. She dies. And then we see Alice starting to go through the same exact situation, and we're on the edge and in suspense wondering how is it going to end for Alice, because it didn't end that well for Margaret just now. I don't know, that could have been really dynamic. When Alice sees Margaret outside when she's hanging laundry, and Margaret has that red toy truck in her hand, presumably belonged to her son, because we saw it in the desert flashback scene. Was her kid real or not? They say that the kids aren't real. That's what Jack is telling her at the end, but I'm not clear on whether he's just saying that trying to calm her down, like, oh, don't worry, those kids are just simulations, or if they really are actually just simulations and not real kids. I mean, we know Bunny's kids are simulations because they died in real life, because she says here, she still has them. But I would have just loved to know more about Margaret and her situation, and I would love to know what exactly did Margaret find when she went out into the desert. Why did she go out to the desert? And instead of just telling us Margaret walked in the desert with her kid, show us, like, tell that story. What happened that day? Why did she do that? Was she on the trolley as well and got off with her son? Why? Alice sees the plane crash. What took Margaret out there? What led to all of this? Did Margaret know we were in the game, or did she just know something was awry, amiss, not right? Strange. Margaret says, I have bad dreams. How? How are we having bad dreams in virtual reality? We shouldn't be having no dreams. Like, how does that work? Or am I wrong and you dream in virtual reality? I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe I'm not smart. Maybe I'm not the audience for this. I don't get it. Frank is supposedly so extraordinary, but we keep having these, like, earthquake thingies. What if it's the game shaking? Is it on purpose to give the women the illusion that the men are out there working? Or is that the system glitching? Is there a glitch in the matrix? Like, what's happening? I'm too confused. I thought this was the incels paradise. Why is glitching? I said how the women have no identity. That bugged me with us following. We follow Alice the whole movie, and I don't know nothing about the lady. What was her identity when she was in the real world versus her identity in this virtual reality world? Career woman Alice versus housewife Alice. The entire movie is spent on Alice, and I don't know this lady. Like, I don't know the character. And it don't matter how delightful Florence Pugh is. The character as written is not very engaging or dynamic. We really don't get much of her as far as her identity. There is no progression of Alice throughout the movie. There's no evolution of Alice throughout the movie. There is no real life her for us to be thinking for her to try to get back to. It just doesn't feel like we really go on a journey with our protagonist. It doesn't feel like we really know the stakes for her. Who was she? What was her identity? Okay, she liked to work, but that's not an identity. In the 70s Stepford Wives, which I say I just can't help but think of when you watch this, we got to know those two main women, and it was jarring to see what happens to them at the end. It was heartbreaking to see what they became. We had an emotional connection with those characters. There was no emotional connection with me and Alice. I don't see how the audience had any emotional connection to Alice. That ending scene in Stepford Wives, it's so chilling to see them in that grocery store because we know the women they were. We made a connection with those women. We don't know the woman Alice was. We meet Alice as the Stepford wife. And the only glimpse into the real world her was her coming home looking fucking miserable to me and tired. But she loves her work. She says that. Okay, fine, great. You can be tired and love your work. But we get no emotion. We get nothing to connect with. We knew what was at stake for those two main women we follow in Stepford Wives. We knew their mind, their heart, their agenda, how they thought, the type of women they were. We just don't get that connection between Alice and the audience. Nothing is at stake for me as the viewer watching it. I mourned for those women in Stepford Wives. That ending was so chilling. What happens to them, that's horror. Like, damn, niggas gonna do this to us. They gonna make us Stepford Wives. It's not that, I mean, look, I don't know. I had no real connection. No matter how delightful Florence Pugh is, no matter how pretty she is, no matter how, delightful she is to watch on screen, the character of Alice is not very well written. I'm sorry. Now, like I said, I know I went into a lot of stuff that I didn't like about this movie, but I actually, as a whole, I enjoyed the movie. Like I said, it was enjoyable. It wasn't until that, I feel like most people would enjoy the ride along the way, and that twist might ruin it for folks, that just that ending sequence. But I was entertained, and it made me think. The movie made me think. They took, and I feel like I was thinking a lot more than the filmmakers, but whatever. They took ideas and things from Stepford Wives, which is fine. I take no issue with that. But then you need to push the boundaries. Push the boundaries. But then you need to push the boundaries. Like, take those ideas and elevate them and run with them and really go somewhere further for the modern day. Like, we needed to walk away from this mug with like some kind of just strong sense of dread or something. We don't walk away feeling nothing except Florence Pugh looks pretty. The cinematography was great. But what is the audience learning or taking away? Because this feels like the type of movie where we're supposed to be taking something away. I enjoyed watching the movie. I enjoyed everything it was. I enjoyed everything it could have been, everything I wanted it to be. The performances, Signs 1 was outstanding. I've never been the biggest fan of Olivia Wilde. I wasn't too thrilled when she jumped up on my show house. That was my show. I don't know. I'm not crazy about her as an actress. But whatever. For me, the pacing was off the first 2/3 of the movie. It dragged. It was repetitive. I was annoyed, wanting more of Frank, wanting more of Margaret, wanting more of the other couples, the other men, the men's motivations for being here, the dynamics with the other men and their wives. Because we don't even know if they knew each other in real life. I don't like how it ends. When it fades to black, we just hear her breathe. I really don't like that. And I don't like the, let the audience use their imagination. Y'all the fucking filmmakers. Y'all making millions. Use your imagination. I don't want to use my imagination. Not for the ending. I don't. Give me a ending. Baby is tied to the bed. How she finna get out of there? Because if you leave it up to my imagination, baby just gonna lay there with her and die. And all these women is still finna be held captive in Victory, virtual reality world. That's the ending my imagination coming up with. Or the super of the building finds Alice tied to the bed and puts her back in the game and reprograms her as his wife. Now that's chilling. That's horror. And then the movie pops up at the end where she is a happy housewife to the super in the game. That's how my imagination is ending the story. We didn't get any real payoff at the end of this. We didn't. I didn't. like this ends where the incels win, the men get to go on kidnap, capture, hold these women as their housewives, sex slaves. Alice is in bed, trapped. Alice doesn't like destroy the program, free the women, which is fine, but I don't like how they ended it. I would have liked for her to kill Jack, wake up in that bed, and then get reprogrammed and put back into the game. I mean, that's horror. Alice, she, like I said, not very smart. Everything was predicated on Margaret. She didn't beat the system. She didn't bring nothing down. She didn't beat anyone. The game is still intact. The system is intact. The incels are thriving. And I hate that aspect. That is just, oh, these are just incels. They're just men that just want to hold the women captive. Because why we ain't got simulated women? Why we ain't get no type of understanding of these men? Don't tell me they just want to hold women just to hold women just to hold women when they can have simulated women that's real in the game. I feel like this was an enjoyable tale of male dominance and fragile male egos, because Jack was fragile. So fragile, had to program his wife. Great idea, flawed execution, phenomenal performances. They saved it. Chris Pine saved it. Florence Pugh saved it. Am I saying? I've been feeling so weird saying that last night. I don't know if I'm saying the right, child. Often confusing and pointless, but interesting visuals. I was entertained. I was not bored at any point throughout the movie. I'm going to give this a solid 5 out of 10. It is an enjoyable, average movie in my humble opinion. Thank you so much for watching this video, for supporting the channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What did you think of Don't Worry, Darling? What kind of, was you down for the ending? Were you okay with the twist? Because I wasn't. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.